Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Elliot and I'm an English teacher here in London in the UK. And I've been teaching English to students all around the world for more than 5 years. The aim of this channel is to provide you with some small but actionable steps you can use to help you on your English journey. So without further ado, let's get into the topic for today. For today's video, I've decided to talk about something which many students struggle with, and that's writing essays. Now, writing an essay is challenging enough in your own language, but in English it's even more difficult. So what I want to do today is to provide some actionable steps on how to structure your essay. In particular, what I'm going to talk about is something called peak paragraphs. I'll explain what this is shortly. So, before we get too deep into this peak paragraph structure, we need to break it down. What exactly does peak stand for? So, peak, P-E-E-K, stands for point, evidence, explanation, and keep to the point. So let's have a look firstly at the P, which is the point part of your paragraph. So, when writing an essay in English, or in fact in any language, you need to make it easy for the reader to understand. And in fact, this should be the goal of your essay because essentially you want to get your points, your opinions across to the reader as easily and as clearly as possible. And this is where the P section of your paragraph comes in, otherwise known as point. But what do I mean by point? Well, point essentially refers to what many other people call your topic sentence. Okay? Your topic sentence is your first line of every new paragraph you write. And the purpose of this sentence is to help the reader identify immediately what this paragraph is about. So, for the sake of this video, let's devise a quick hypothetical essay question. So, for example, let's pretend we're talking about student obesity and the essay title we've been given is "Too many students are now overweight and schools should limit the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools." Okay, so we have our essay title. Now this is an essay in which we either have to agree or disagree. But in any essay, regardless of your opinion, you should always give both sides of the argument and criticise the argument you disagree with. Usually, your first paragraph will start off with the side that agrees with the essay title or statement. So in this case, we are going to agree with the argument that more and more students are overweight and that schools need to limit the sale of unhealthy snacks. After an introduction, which sets out the background and maybe some interesting ideas, we then need to start paragraph 1, which will agree with the statement that students are overweight and that we should limit the sale of unhealthy snacks. And to start this paragraph, we need to remember point. Or in other words, we need to create a topic sentence. Now there's no strict formula for this, but what we need to do in this very first sentence of the very first paragraph is show the reader what the paragraph is going to talk about. And in this case, it's going to be arguments supporting the idea that children are unhealthy and we need to limit the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools. So example topic sentences might be, it could be argued that students are getting more and more unhealthy and we should reduce the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools. Another example topic sentence might be, many people argue that it's time to reduce the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools due to student obesity. These are both examples of a topic sentence and let the reader know straight away what we're going to talk about. Like I said, these are just 2 examples. There are infinite others you could use, but the key thing is you need to get your message across to the reader early on about what you're going to talk about in this part of the essay. Now that you have your topic sentence covered, we now need to move on to the second section of our essay structure, which is E, or in other words, evidence. Now the evidence or example section is where you provide some evidence or examples to support the points you're about to make. So let's go back to our hypothetical essay title of student obesity and reducing the sale of unhealthy snacks. In this second part of the paragraph, what we need to do is provide some evidence in support of the essay statement. So in this case, we need some evidence that students are becoming more obese and that reducing the sale of unhealthy snacks would be a good idea. Now, if you're writing an essay where you have time to research, then I'd really encourage you in this situation, find some statistics that support the increasing rate in student obesity. Or perhaps you could find some research which shows why reducing the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools would have a positive impact on student weight. The key thing here is you need something to back up the point, to provide support, and that is what this second section of your paragraph, the evidence section, is about. So, as an example in our essay, let's imagine that we found some statistics and we could say, for example, 83% of students in the UK are now overweight according to a recent study. Now, this is just something I've made up off the top of my head, but the point is we need some kind of evidence or proof. Now, a great way to signal to the reader that you are beginning your evidence section of the paragraph is to use phrases such as for example, for instance, or indeed. Now that we've covered the evidence part of your essay paragraph, it's time to go on to the third part of your paragraph, and the second E, which stands for explanation. Now, many believe, myself included, that this is in fact the most important part of your paragraph and is where you'll pick up the most marks, because this is where we start to analyse things. We start to look at the evidence and give our opinions, and this is crucial if you're going to pick up extra marks in your English essays. We can begin this part of the essay paragraph with a phrase such as the above evidence shows, or this demonstrates that. Again, this is a signal to the reader that we're beginning to analyse what we've just said. We're beginning to discuss the evidence and therefore answer the essay question. After using one of these markers, we then want to launch into the actual explanation or analysis part of this paragraph. So, in our example, we might want to say something like, the above evidence demonstrates that there is a serious public health crisis when it comes to children in the UK. Therefore, reducing the sale of unhealthy snacks in schools would be a sensible starting point because it would limit children's access to unhealthy snacks and potentially encourage them to eat healthier. By writing something along these lines, you are therefore analysing the essay, you're discussing the statement and giving your opinion, which is crucial if you want to pick up the marks you need to get good grades in an essay in English. So you've got your point, you've got your evidence, you've now got your explanation. But what is K? So K stands for keep to the point. And this is basically just the last sentence of your paragraph to tie everything up nicely together. Imagine you've got a present, you're wrapping it nicely and tying a bow on it. With the keep to the point part of your essay paragraph, all you're doing is writing a final sentence to go back to the essay question. So I really hope today's video has been helpful for you and that you can start implementing this peak paragraph structure into your English essays. I really think it will help your grades to improve and to, more importantly, keeping you focused on the essay. A big problem my students have when writing essays in English is that they just go off topic and they don't answer the question that was actually asked. Down below, I'm also putting a link to a free written guide for this peak paragraph structure, which goes into a bit more detail about how to structure your essays in English, which you can download for absolutely free as a PDF file. If you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing so you can get notifications when my next video is released. In the meantime, thank you for joining me today and I will see you in the next video.